It's Kamala Harris versus Donald Trump, and either one of them could make history this week. It's down to the wire. The US could get its first female president in Kamala Harris, or Donald Trump could win another term, making him the first president in history to be convicted of felony crimes. There's a lot going on in this very evenly placed election. There are abortion rights for women. There's a life and death situation in Gaza. There are taxes. There's Taylor Swift. There's Elon Musk. Like I said, there's a lot to unpack. But in this video, I'm looking at Indian Americans who are going to vote in this election, Indians who are living as NRIs in the US and how they will be impacted. And of course, stay tuned to the end to find out how it will impact us. Now, first of all, let's take a look at the timeline of what to expect this week. Now, remember, the US election are very different from our elections. Tomorrow, which is the 5th of November, is election day. The whole country will vote on one day. Most states will start polling between 7 and 9 a.m. in the morning and vote until 11 p.m. on the East Coast. Remember, there are different time zones. So that's about 5:30 in the morning on Wednesday for us in India. And the results are expected to trickle in after that. Some states, of course, will start counting later than others. So the polls will close on the East Coast and they'll have declared Harris or Trump, while on the other side, the West Coast will still start counting. It's a tight race, but we're expecting counting to continue well past after the election night. Now, traditionally, the candidate losing the election can tell which way the cookie is crumbling, and they concede defeat. So they'll have an official sort of press conference and they'll congratulate their opponent even before the main announcement has come in. Now, I would expect this to happen in this case because Donald Trump has still not conceded the 2020 election that he lost to Joe Biden 4 years ago. Most people are expecting Trump will mount a legal battle if this doesn't go his way. Now, that brings us to the question of which way is this going? According to the polls, it's evenly matched. It's 50-50. It will come down to these 7 battleground states: Arizona, Nevada, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, and Georgia. Of these, Michigan and Pennsylvania will play very key roles in them reaching the White House, depending on which one of them do. So keep an eye on these 2 states. Remember, it's about the electoral college votes per state and not the popular vote. Hillary Clinton, you remember, won about 3 million more popular votes, but she didn't win the electoral college, and that's how she lost that election. Let's take a look at what's happening among Indian voters. Remember, Kamala Harris is a woman. She's the child of immigrant parents, Indian-born mother, Jamaican-born father. You've heard this before. A career in law, public office, has served as vice president. Now, you'd think the fact that she's Indian-American would mean she's a hot favorite among the Indian-American diaspora, but no. The polls are already showing that Harris has lost a chunk of the Indian votes that would have normally voted Democrat. Now, let me take you through this. And I found this fascinating. So I actually spent some time breaking this down. There are 5.2 million Indian Americans currently in the US. It's the second largest group after Mexican Americans. Of that, 2.6 million are eligible to vote in this election. So they're citizens. A survey done by Carnegie Endowment for International Peace found that Harris is going to get fewer votes from the Indian community than Joe Biden did in the previous election. Now, an estimated 61% of the respondents of the Indian community said they would vote for Harris. That's 4% lower than those who voted for Joe Biden. Now, according to the 2024 Indian American Attitude Survey, so the IAAS survey, only 47% of Indian Americans now identify as Democrats. That's down from 56% in the last election. So even though she would become the first Indian American president in the US, why is Harris losing Indian support? These are the main reasons. And first of all, she is the face of the Democratic Party, but the Republican Party have a lot of Indian Americans as well. They have Nikki Haley, who is a former ambassador to the United States. She was also a contender for the post. They have Vivek Ramaswamy, who also ran for president and then conceded to Trump. And the vice president nominee, J.D. Vance, his wife, Usha, is also Indian American. This is the other major point. Trump has been really clear about his friendship with Prime Minister Narendra Modi. There's a shift among the Indian American community towards Trump that's driven by his friendship to Prime Minister Modi. Now, I want to take you through this. This is a Diwali message that Trump put out, and I'm reading it verbatim. He says, and I quote, "I strongly condemn the barbaric violence against Hindus, Christians, and other minorities who are getting attacked, looted by mobs in Bangladesh, which remains in total chaos. It would have never happened on my watch. Kamala and Joe have ignored Hindus across the world and in America. We will protect Hindu Americans against the anti-religion agenda of the radical left. We will fight for your freedom, and under my administration, we will also strengthen our great partnership and my good friend, Prime Minister Modi." Now, the second major point is taxes. 22% of the Indian American women who responded to that survey said they would vote for Trump. But 39% of the Indian American men said they would vote for Trump. That's a big difference. So the understanding is that women support Harris because of her position on abortion rights, but men who tend to be wealthy business owners and professionals prefer Trump because of his more liberal tax regime. Now, there was another survey that showed that Indian families who are normally doctors, lawyers, tech CEOs, earn on an average 2/3 more than the average white family, which comes in second. So the Indian community is the largest owner or the largest earner of money in the US. So lower taxes sounds great. What has Trump promised? He's promised to cut corporate tax for those manufacturing goods in the US. He's promised to increase tax on products coming in from China. And he's also promised harsh immigration policies. But that doesn't really matter for those who are already US citizens who are likely to vote in this election. Harris, on the other hand, is talking about lower taxes for the lower income group, better childcare, better elder care. And Democrats have always looked to tax the rich to move the money to the poor. And this is not really appealing to those who are in that top tax bracket. The other thing that's played against Harris for the Indian American vote is the fact that she has identified largely with her black heritage on her father's side rather than her Indian one. Now, 12% of the respondents in the survey said that the main reason for opposing Harris is that she identifies more with her black roots than her Indian roots. Now, there's one veteran communication strategist from Washington who has basically said that Donald Trump's administration is likely to be friendlier with India compared to Kamala Harris, and that's also playing a lot on those who are voting in this particular election. So it does seem like Donald Trump might have an upper hand here, marginally so with the Indian voter. What happens to those who are NRIs looking to citizenship? Now, Kamala Harris apparently supports a more comprehensive immigration reform. She's talking about undocumented immigrants, particularly those with long ties to the US, finding ways for them to become citizens. This looks like she will have a more liberal sort of outlook when it comes to migration, immigration, and citizenship. So this would be positive for those people who are currently NRIs looking to get green cards and looking to get citizenship. Donald Trump, on the other hand, is likely to come down heavily on immigration, and that will impact Indian companies and individuals. He opposes pathways to citizenship. He opposes undocumented immigrants, and he's talking about stricter policies. So in a nutshell, Harris will be better for Indian families who have taken the legal route or the illegal route to go to the US and who are looking to actually get a green card. Donald Trump might make it more difficult for NRIs looking to get citizenship. But then you have to remember those waiting for citizenship, legal or illegal, are not going to vote. The next question about who is better for India. Now, we must remember that India right now, from the US's point of view, is very strategically placed geographically. Now, we're close to China. The US needs a friend in the neighborhood. India is a democracy. We have a stable government. We have free press, arguably, on paper. All of these things work well for the US. Business-wise, the US accounts for 18% of India's as a recipient of India's exports. We export to the UN electronics, pearls, pharmaceuticals. We send out petroleum products, iron, steel, textiles, a whole bunch of things. So whether or not it's Donald Trump or Kamala Harris, they're likely to be nice to India in that strategic point of view. But there is a point of view that says that Donald Trump will push more on trade because he believes that India has some unfair trade practices that he's been complaining about, that he's going to push hard to break. Kamala Harris, on the other hand, will continue Biden's point of view, which views India as a strategic partnership in the neighborhood more than just on trade. It's likely, of course, like I said, that Donald Trump will push harder on some deals. For the rest of the voters, let's take a look at those who are not Indians, right? The Democrats, or Kamala Harris, has lost a large chunk of the Muslim voters because of what is being viewed as blind support that Joe Biden has given Israel in its ongoing genocide in Gaza. Now, many of the young college-going voters are also disillusioned because of the stance on Gaza. But are they likely to vote Trump instead? Some might actually just abstain. Irrespective of what they do, it will hurt Kamala Harris and benefit Donald Trump if they even just stay away from the polls. Because Kamala Harris is going to need every one of those Democratic and liberal voters to come and vote for her. Now, she has not forced her gender per se. She's not played the woman card a lot, but she has forced gender politics. So she's used abortion as a big plank, reminding women that if Trump becomes president, they could be denied that life-saving, life-altering health facility, and that's become a big thing. Now, of the celebrities who have endorsed Hanks, Taylor Swift, Beyonce, Oprah, Stevie Wonder, Bruce Springsteen, Bad Bunny, J-Lo, you can see a pattern developing. And on the side, there's Hulk Hogan, Elon Musk, Kanye, Kid Rock. There's a pattern developing there as well. Let's take a look at information, right? The New York Times editorial board wrote an editorial calling Kamala Harris the only patriotic choice and saying Donald Trump is the most unsuited person for the White House. Tucker Carlson, a journalist who was formerly with Fox News, has campaigned for Trump on his campaign trail, and the big one is Elon Musk, who owns Twitter and controls a lot of information via Twitter, who's not only campaigned for Donald Trump, but he's also offered money, signing $1 million checks to those who sign up to vote. So like I said, there is a lot going on. We will likely know by the end of this week which way it's going to close. And it is going to affect Indians either way. So we're going to give you updates of how it actually plays out here on this channel and we break it down from our point of view. But I do wish you'd leave me a comment letting me know which one you think is better from any point of view. Do you think Kamala Harris is a good choice? Or do you think Donald Trump is a good choice? Or is it a choice between a rock and a hard place? Remember also, like, share, subscribe, share this video, and sign up for our membership if you can. Thanks for watching.
Thanks.